everybody, I'm Philip.
And I'm Justin.
And together, we are Pajamas. And we are here to do the medal ceremony for Season 2 of Doctor Who. What is that, you may ask, if you are new? Well, medal ceremony is where we go through the entire season, and we rate our least favorite and favorite, bronze, silver, and gold, respectively. And the pool of episodes we have to pull from in Season 2 are Episode 1, New Earth, 2, Tooth and Claw, 3, School Reunion, 4, Girl in the Fireplace, 5, Rise of the Cybermen, 6, Age of Steel, 7, The Idiot's Lantern, 8, Impossible Planet, 9, Satan Pit, 10, Love and Monsters, 11, Fear Her, 12, Army of Ghosts, 13, Doomsday, and, like with the last medal ceremony, we do not count the Christmas episode. HBO Max, where we're looking at, counts The Runaway Bride as episode 14. We count it as the bridge episode, so we just don't count it. Also, we do not tell each other our choices, so it is all new to us what the other picked. So, makes it a little more exciting that way. Are you ready to start? Without further ado, let's get into it. Let's start with our least favorite. In it, Bronze, what do you have for your least favorite?
Well, it was difficult for me to do the negative ones because this whole series was actually very good compared to Season 1 for me.
Okay.
But I would say, because of being nitpicky, it would probably be in Bronze, Love and Monsters, Episode 10.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
Well, I thought that it had a sad ending. I thought that it was...
Okay.
I felt very sorry for her. I thought that maybe it would have been better for her to have died with dignity instead of having her live the rest of her life as...
a literal sex object?
I suppose that's one way of looking at it. But we'll imagine being a piece of cement.
I wouldn't be in pain, so that's a plus. You just made a lot of Whovians very happy, though, there, because, yeah, it was... As we discussed, it was one of the least favorite episodes in New Who.
Is it for the same reason, or is it for something else?
I can show you the comments. It's for a variety of reasons.
That's the only thing that I have at Bronze.
Okay. All right, in at Bronze for me is Rise of the Cybermen. I did not like the saga of Mr. Nosehairs. I thought it was distracting. I'm not familiar with the Cybermen. I am more now, of course. And when they came back later in the season, I was like, oh, okay. And this is another one. A lot of people, it's like, well, I group the similar plot ones together. Here's why I don't. Because Age of Steel was better than Rise of the Cybermen. So I can't group them together. Yes, they're telling one story, but there's a part 1 and a part 2. One's going to be better than the other, usually. Which has historically been the case most of the time. I was just underwhelmed. And, I mean, it did have the whole thing with Rose being the dog. So I'd appreciate that. But... just, I just didn't care for it. All right, let's go to Silver. Silver for the least favorite.
Well, it was actually number 5, Rise of the Cybermen. Because, well, I have to agree with you, the Nosehair was too distracting.
He was a bad villain. He was a bad, not just because he needed to groom himself majorly. He was just campy, not in a good way, just... He was distracting. Like, your villain should not be distracting from the plot. Your villain should be enhancing. Because the antagonist, it has to be the strongest thing in that episode. It has to be. Because you have to be stronger than the Doctor, in my opinion, for the Doctor to fight against you. So if you're the villain, you need to be the strongest force in that episode. And Mr. Nosehairs was the weakest, by far. It just took me, completely out of the whole thing. Yeah.
And what was yours?
For Silver... it was Impossible Planet, Part 1 of Marker Face. Again, this is going to be... We're going to make some Whovians really mad. This is Part 1 of a beloved 2-part thing. It's on here because, yes, the production didn't have a lot of money, so it was a lot of budgetary things, but still, it's like they tried to... Like I said, when we watched them, it's like the idea was bigger than what they could afford to pull off. And I think with a proper budget and proper effects and proper set and all that stuff, this could have been amazing. But the way the Rose and the Doctor were acting was snarky and annoying. The dialogue was obnoxious. The most obnoxious dialogue all season for me. Like, was like, the ood. Wouldn't that be ooh? Like, just shut the fuck up, Rose. Ugh. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's just, I'm sorry that they didn't have a budget, but it showed. You can have a budget and still make something interesting. You work around it. Like, if you can't, I don't know, how can I explain it? If you can't do something properly, maybe just don't do it. Or maybe trim here and there if you can't pull it off. Like, I understand. I get it. But I think for me, it was more, your main villain was supposed to be Satan, who was portrayed as Markerface. Looked awful. The set looked bad. All the cast was just so, like, they were interchangeable. I mean, other than the captain, I thought he was, I liked him. And which is going to make people like, what's your gold then? But of all the episodes, Impossible Planet just felt like it didn't belong in the entirety of the season. It just felt like it was written by, like, somebody won a contest and they were allowed to write an episode. And they wrote a two-parter. And this episode is where I really started to get, it was bothering me, David Tennant's Doctor. And it just they started being like, oh, the Doctor's so quirky and bossy and entitled. David Tennant's so cute. You're kind of a dick. You're cute. But if you weren't cute...
Basically, you like the concepts of the episodes, but not how they were carried out.
Yeah. I even said in Satan Pit, I said, I thought the idea was cool. The Doctor versus Satan. Awesome. I was more annoyed with 8 because it was the introduction, and then 9 I knew what to expect. 9 got annoying. The last, 5-10 minutes of that episode are awful. For what they could have done, I think 8 being the introductory, put me off more than the awfulness of Satan Pit, if that makes sense. So, sorry, Whovians. I know you all love the two-parter, and I respect that, but it just fell way flat for me.
That's understandable.
And in it, gold, the worst of the worst. What is the worst of the worst from season 2?
I do see how you are pointing out the absurdities, such as somehow the traveling ship somehow managed to be in the pit.
Mm-hmm.
But what I find even more absurd would be in Fear Her, number 11 of the Olympics, because it's too absurd. Even more absurd than that happening.
Right.
Because, well, for example, she starts breaking the street. No, stop that.
No.
Or how about the scene in which everyone in front of the entire viewing world disappeared from the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
And they reappeared. And no one is at all finding that to be the least bit suspicious. They continue on with everything as they were.
Yeah.
And so now it would seem as if it's an international event, it's the Olympics involving the whole world. Surely the whole world now realizes that something very strange is going on.
And they never address it again.
Well, I suppose, maybe they happen to be on vacation.
Yeah, like that one lady was, yeah.
And, I'm afraid that even if I were on vacation, people would at least be talking about it in the streets. It would be that big of news. Surely something like that cannot... How closed off can someone possibly be to not realize that?
You would be amazed at how unobservant people are.
And that would be my goal, in that it's too absurd, even for a fictional show.
Okay.
And what's your gold?
In it, gold for me is Fear Her. We agree.
Really?
Yeah, we agree. Oh. We agree that this is the worst of the worst of season 2. So many. It was. You put it perfectly. Yes, the TARDIS being at the bottom of the pit is annoying. No matter what the super spoilery comments from everyone explain to me how it got down there.
Well, that's only one thing. What about a whole episode filled with such things?
But it's just, I picked this because it's the only episode. It was much like Aliens of London from season 1. It's the only episode where the thumbnail is me, my head is in my hands, like this. It drove me to glasses off. Oh my god, what's going on? I even said in the review that I didn't mind the idea. Much like the Satan Pit, I didn't mind the idea. And they clearly had the budget to do what they wanted to do. But it just felt, not only did it, was it insulting, it felt like pandering. Like, the Doctor's running with a torch? What the fuck? It's like they were like, okay, we need a shot of the Doctor running with a torch. Make that happen. Okay, Flower Baby in a little tiny spaceship the Rose happens to not break, even though it's under like the first inch of the tar. Yeah, Führer was just insulting. Yeah, only one that had me just livid.
I don't recall anyone asking about who is that man with the torch.
Yeah, everything there was way too much that was just accepted.
Something like that of the Olympics, they would have somebody with a clipboard knowing exactly who is what and who's doing it when, and well, that person isn't in the program.
But it's an attractive man in a suit who's smiling while he's running. Like I said in that review, people can defend the Satan pit, or the Satan episodes, I mean. People can defend the Satan episodes. I'll completely 100% listen to what you have to say. You can defend the Slovene. I will completely 100% listen to what you have to say. You can defend any episode. The Cybermen, Mr. Nosehairs. I will listen to what you have to say. I have in the comments. Like, I'm learning a lot of stuff. You know, about where the Cybermen came from and where the Slovene came from, and even the Ood. They're beloved in the lore of the Doctor Who universe. Completely, that's 100% fine. I don't see how anyone can defend an entire stadium disappearing, going into a child's drawing, then coming back. We discussed it in depth in that episode.
And they're somehow not the least bit traumatized of realizing that they were stuck inside a drawing.
It was not a good episode. Like,
I would have expected news reporters would immediately want to walk up to him because of such a unique thing happening. Someone like, this is lighting. Is doing the lighting. Who are you?
Yeah, and that begs the question. Okay, if the entire stadium disappears, multiple countries represented, as we talked about, as many countries as could go, they come back and all of a sudden the strange man picks up the torch and runs with it? Does that not look suspicious? A doctor has been on international television now. No, it's going to make me rant again. Like, I didn't like the Impossible Planet. I can still respect what it was trying to do. I just didn't care for it. Rise of the Cybermen. Didn't care for it, but I can respect what they were trying to do. Führer. No. It was just... Yeah, no.
We both agree that it's a bad episode compared to the others.
As my friends on message boards would say, that episode was buns. So, let's move on to the favorites from this season. This is going to be interesting. So for the favorites, in at bronze, what do you have?
I have number 1, New Earth.
Okay, with the cat people.
Yes.
The cat nuns. Okay.
Indeed.
Why's that?
Well, I enjoyed it for the subtle complexities of medical ethics that it portrayed
Yeah.
on human suffering, and also I like cats.
There's a really funny shot of Justin in episode 11, Fear Her, where the doctor says he's not a cat person. I did a close-up of your face. Like, you've never looked more angry, ever, so far, in any of the videos. You were just like... So yeah, if you have a chance, go back and watch the part in Fear Her where doctor says he's not a cat person. It was adorable.
And they were actually done very well.
Exactly, that's what people were like getting at me about the Satan stuff. But I'm like, episode 1 showed how good it could be. The set felt organic, and the makeup and effects were fantastic. Of course, okay, you didn't have a budget for the Satan stuff. Then you work around it, figure it out, or just hold off on the plot until you have the budget for it. I would love to have seen what they could have done with that 2-parter with a proper budget. It would have been amazing.
Yes, I especially liked it that it didn't look too much like a computer simulation. When the mouths moved, it looked like that those were actually their faces.
Because it was their faces.
Well, yes, but what I mean is that it wasn't something like...
Right. So it being done more naturally obviously made it look more natural. Yeah. That's why it just astounded me that we went from that to smudgy marker face that was supposed to pass for the devil, just because not Daniel Tosh was like grinning all evil, like. I had that small tangent in New Earth as well about if you can desensitize yourself or convince yourself that something is a certain way, anything can be cattle or have that much cognitive dissonance to separate yourself from the ethics. It was a really very interesting discussion we had.
Yes, especially when you consider which is more important, the means or the ends? Do the ends justify the means, or the means justify the ends? Or maybe they don't justify each other anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about perspective. I mean, that was really cool. That's when we were talking about how Doctor Who can just take really cool ideas and make you think. And then they make the entire Olympic Stadium disappear.
Yes.
See, does it make sense now, like, why it bothers us so much? Because the show shows us what it can do. And the highs are so good. Like the highs from philosophy and metaphysics and ethics. And the highs of makeup design and set pieces and set design and all that stuff. And dialogue. The dialogue in New Earth was good.
I also liked it that they were able to rectify Cassandra as a character.
I still...
That there was much more to her than simply vanity.
Yeah, I still think that they wrote her off a little too easy. I think that they could have. Like, this is one of those things where people didn't like, where's that? Love and Monsters, because of the last 5 minutes. But it was still like, why didn't Cassandra re-inhabit her old body? Why didn't she... Like, you had a really good concept. Go back and watch New Earth's discussion. Justin had a really good idea on what they could have done with Cassandra, and I agree.
Yes, and it would have allowed her to be in future episodes.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And what is your bronze?
My bronze for favorites is Episode 2, Tooth and Claw. Yes, the Shaolin monks in the beginning doing Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, flippy moves was a little ridiculous. But we had werewolves. We had Queen Victoria. We had the origination of Torchwood. I thought the setting was neat. I like the historical ones a lot. Using Queen Victoria as not only the era, but the person was very cool. And I thought it was just, and bringing, like, we got werewolves in the Doctor Who universe. It was really cool. And it's honestly not a lot I can say about it. I just enjoyed the episode for what it was and for what it brought to the table as far as I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting werewolves in Doctor Who. I wasn't expecting Queen Victoria in Doctor Who. And then I was definitely not expecting, the origination of Torchwood. And then, then they call back on that in the end, the last couple episodes. So yeah, no real big philosophical reason. I just really enjoyed the episode.
And it's interesting that you mention that because for my silver, it is Tooth and Claw, Episode 2. For actually that same reason. That, yes, I do really like the historical aspects of it. Mm-hmm. The scenery, the reenactments, and they portrayed Queen Victoria very well. With that being said, one would wonder, well, why did I choose the Victoria one instead of the Madame de Pompadour one? Mm-hmm. Well, because in the Victoria one, there's also the ominous origin of Torchwood added to it at the end.
Yeah, basically being this like buffer against the Doctor. Like, we're going to keep you in check. Like, I don't know who you are or where you're from, but I'm creating this to make sure that you do not get out of line, which the Doctor needs.
Although I will admit that with the Pompadour one, it was a very touching letter.
Mm-hmm.
But with the Victoria one, there is also the fact that there's this ominous foreshadow of what will come later in the series.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that you say that because my silver is Girl in the Fireplace.
Oh.
Again, I'm a sucker for the period piece ones. I enjoyed this one more than Tooth and Claw because they did a really good job of, like, when Doctor Who does it well, it does it well. Yes, the villains weren't their clockwork things. That's fine. Just the strength of the character of Renette, building it around her, having these two set pieces, her world and then the ship. I guess, like I said, I'm just a sucker for the period piece ones. And I just thought it was a fun watch. And then that reveal at the end was just really nice. And it was just one of those where, like, from beginning to end, I enjoyed what I watched. And I don't really have many complaints about it. I thought they used the character of Renette well. If anything, I'm tired of the Doctor being like, what human female can I flirt with or hit on in this episode today? I thought it was a solid story. Another cool way to take something from the past that was real and insert your science fiction into it in a way that made sense, and it was inventive. It was cool to watch, like the gateways to her world and time passes like that.
Yes, and it didn't interfere so much with the time because at that time they would have seen mechanical things like that.
Yeah,
they would be familiar with that. It wouldn't have been something like seeing a rocket ship or a computer.
Yeah, so it all made sense in the capsule that it made, and the ending was sad. Like, I feel like I should have more reasons for why I liked it so much, but I enjoyed it. It was a fun watch. So
It was a very good episode.
it was, yeah. All right, what is the best of the best from season 2? Gold.
That would be number 13.
I knew it. Just because it has
Doomsday.
Daleks in it.
Well,
Just because it has Daleks in it.
that, and not only that, I also found it amusing the interplay between the Daleks and the Cybermen.
Yeah.
Constantly remember the scenes of their interaction. And it's a very excellent... Well, you've heard of geopolitics. I suppose that this would be intergalactic politics at play. I found it... The reason why I like it is purely because I found it amusing.
Okay. Right on.
Yes, I admit it. I love Daleks.
Yes, he does. If there's a Dalek in an episode, it's probably his favorite episode from that season.
It is. And what is yours?
My gold for best of the best of season 2 is Doomsday.
Really?
Yeah. It was the one I was the most excited for. Because like you said, we got the Daleks and the Cybermen against each other. That's like... And Rose fucking leaves. Rose is gone. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord, Yahweh, Jesus, God, the Savior, whoever you, Buddha, whatever you like pray to. Praise that. She's no longer in the fucking show. She's gone. She's gone and she's stuck in her other alternate dimension with Mickey, who's apparently also an evil douche person now in real life, and her mom and her dad. Her family's back together, but she don't care because she's a fucking spoiled brat. So happy she's gone. So just off the strength of that alone is my favorite. The Achilles heel for the first 2 seasons is gone.
Be careful, though. You almost had the Runaway Bride one as the replacement, but she ended up not being it.
We don't know yet, though. We don't. I'm afraid that she is based. But no. Doomsday was just. It was cool to see the Daleks versus the Cybermen. This one did for the Cybermen what the one episode in season 1 did for the Slovene, where the lady came back because she redeemed that plot. Mm-hmm. This is what this did for me for Cybermen. It kind of redeemed them. And then of course the Daleks are always awesome. My little like trash bins with plungers. You gotta love them. They're so cute. But I've said before, that's why the Satan episodes annoy me so much, because you can take something like the Daleks, which if you look at a Dalek, it's kind of ridiculous looking. It looks like a trash bin with like an egg beater and a plunger. And you still buy it as threatening. It's still like this, like, when it popped on the screen, we were just like, when it came out of the sphere? Yeah, because we're buying into the lore that much.
What was also very good about this episode was that 2 antagonists fighting each other.
Yeah, that's why I saw like
as well as the protagonist.
Yeah, it was really cool to see 2. Well, even Torchwood was kind of an antagonist as well.
Indeed. Now that the Doctor is surrounded, now what will he do?
Mm-hmm. Apparently, turn on a vacuum that sucks everything in from way far away, but they can hold on to the levers with their hands and a pinky and like a finger, like, yeah. There's
at least with that you could probably excuse that with the power of determination. At least that would be more believable than an entire stadium of people disappearing and coming back, and they aren't going to say anything to anyone about it.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
And this just shows if your concept is strong enough. We had lore from the Cybermen. We have lore for the Daleks going back to season 1 for us. It's enough to make the episode that strong, and also fucking Rose dies. So yay, or not died. She said she died. It was a kind of a swerve for the audience. Like, and this is how I died.
Well, as far as this universe is concerned, her death certificate is signed.
I know that. I get that. It was still like, don't get my hopes up. I wanted to see her. I want to see a giant fucking meteor. Like, I love you, Doctor. Oh, fuck you, Mom. Fuck you, Dad. Oh, I love you, Doctor. Oh, where?
Well, that would have been
amazing.
Even for Doctor Who, that would be very random.
No. Like, there could have been a meteor coming to Earth that they tried to stop. No, so there's a secret meteor that the Doctor didn't account for. And then that's the one that obliterates Rose. Because we're going to do conveniences and coincidences and things that just happen. I want the meteor to fall just where Rose happens to be standing. And I want people to be around her, but the meteor is like human size in circumference, and it just squishes her. And then I want balloons and a parade. Like you had your parade for yourself to the DHS. I want balloons to say a parade with signs to say "fuck Rose," and we go dun, 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 and they just march around Rose in a circle. Dun, 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 dun. And then the meteor catches on fire, kind of, so they have to put it out by urinating on it.
Again, be careful. You don't know what the next person is going to be like.
I know what this person is like, and I wanted all of that to happen. That would have been the best episode ever of anything.
And that's your gold.
Yep. All right, so overall synopsis of season 2. What did you think? You said earlier that it was hard to pick
Oh, yes.
negative ones because there were so many good ones for you.
Oh, yes. They had very brilliant concepts, such as for example, in New Earth, or Impossible Planet and Satan Pit. And even historical ones such as Tooth and Claw and The Girl in the Fireplace.
Well, even
and
like
that it felt like they were actually there, not simply people in costumes.
even the Idiot's Lantern with a wire was strong. The school reunion with like the vampire things,
Yes.
and Sarah Jane was a fun episode too.
There's so much
I
in
personally,
one.
you didn't like it. I personally liked Love and Monsters.
Oh, I did like all of it
you
except for the end.
You take that last 5 minutes off. It's a fun episode.
Yes, it is. I would agree with that.
You know, if we didn't have the historical ones, I probably would have picked it to be in one of my top, like bronze or silver, respectively. But because it was the most fun I had with an episode all season. It was a fun episode to watch, and Rose was in it like this much. But we talked about the characters are fun, the plot was fun. School reunion, the characters were fun, the plot was fun. Sarah Jane was cool. Like, why couldn't I got her as the companion? Hell yeah, she's awesome. I like Sarah Jane. I liked her immediately. She's very cool.
She even came with a cute mechanical dog.
Idiot's Lantern. We had the wire framed around the Queen's coronation. Cool idea, neat, interesting villain. You know, then we had the abusive husband and, you know, becoming what he was trying to fight in the war and all that stuff. Yes. So there were a lot of topics, some heavy topics that were covered and touched upon. Yeah, it was very cool.
And all of this, all crammed into one season. And considering that it was like that, instead of something more spread out like in one, but then again, one was functioning as an introduction, so I suppose that I could excuse that, but I was able to be much more engaged in season 2 than season 1 on that.
Yeah, I'll agree. Yeah. The concepts were deeper and richer, and they had a budget for most of the season. And season 2, I do forgive it because they kind of just scramble, because they assumed that the first Doctor was going to continue, and he said no, so they'd find a new Doctor and then kind of like rewrite stuff to fit things into places and whatnot.
Really? That's what happened? I assumed that was already in the storyboard.
So it was cool to see them like salvage what they could and make what they could, because for the bulk of the season, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. And even the bad stuff, other than Fear Her, even the Rise of the Cybermen, if I wanted to, I could probably find something good about it. But I don't know, it's down there. It's down there. Impossible Planet, if I wanted to. I gave it, in Satan Pit, I gave it a bit more of its due, because I learned, they didn't have a budget. And there were issues with costuming, and you could tell. It looked like a cheap high school theater production to me.
But even despite that, it still had a very fascinating concept.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which still makes it fit into this season 2.
So as far as Doctors, season 1 Doctor to season 2 Doctor, what do you think? And this is 2, or it's a V. People are like, you're throwing up a very rude sign over here. I'm not going like this. 1 versus 2 Doctor.
That's a good question. I would think that 1 would probably be more approachable. At the same time, though, I would say that 2 would probably be more comedic, which I suppose would mean that which Doctor I would choose would depend upon the episode.
Yeah, that's true. I am not enjoying David Tennant's Doctor as much as I thought I would. Like, yes, I said the first Doctor was arrogant and full of himself and cocky because I was getting used to the Doctor persona. But David Tennant's portrayal is just so, I've said it before, it's smug. And he's cocky. And someone pointed out in the comment section, and I agree with it, he constantly yells. All the time. Like, I think once an episode he yells. Like, so when you said the Doctor season 1 is more approachable, yeah. If David Tennant wasn't such an attractive man, this is me completely owning up to being shallow. on this, I probably wouldn't like him at all. He's not fun to watch. Some of his delivery is okay, but he's so over the top in his smarminess. Just the yelling and the abrasiveness. He's such an abrasive personality. And his hero worship of Rose.
Which I hope is supposed to stand for that's how he is with humanity, that she is some sort of...
it could be.
She's supposed to be some sort of archetype for him, for humanity. So when he said, because I believe in her, he is likely, what he's trying to say is, I believe in humanity.
That's what we want to believe. He probably just meant her. I'm not getting into it. I surprised myself in that I kind of missed the season 1 Doctor. He was vulnerable. This Doctor doesn't seem vulnerable. He just seems too self-assured, too Mr. Know-It-All, Mr. Aggressive, bossy. Sometimes it worked. And I'm talking, and I'm not listening. That worked, but fingers to lips was fucking stupid. I'm sorry, it was dumb. Why would 5 grown adults be like, okay?
Yes, and make the same
it's stupid.
gesture.
It's dumb. It's dumb. Like, they give him this, like, lord over humanity thing now. David Tennant's Doctor. Where the people just listen to him, and he expects to be listened to and obeyed. Give me season 1 Doctor, man. He was charming and ambiguous, and he felt like an alien interacting with humanity. David Tennant doesn't. Hopefully it gets better in season 3, but I am not enjoying his portrayal of the Doctor at all, which surprises me to say, because he was the one I was looking forward to the most. But yeah, overall, much stronger season story-wise, like you said.
Indeed.
But I still miss like the endearing part of season 1. Season 1 just kind of had its own character to it, and any nuance that the Doctor had has been stripped away. It's gone with Tennant's portrayal. So hopefully season 3, he isn't as just irritating to watch and listen to. We'll see how losing Rose affects him. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Sorry for all the Tennant fans out there. Sorry for all the fans of the Satan episodes, and for people who like the Olympic episodes, etc., and the Cybermen. This is our first ingestion of all of this. So yeah, even the lowest moments show you how strong the season was, because then we had, a woman turn into cement, and she had one function because she only had a mouth. Like, if they had just left out that we have a sex life, or we have a love life, or whatever, just don't include that. Because overall, I do look forward to season 3, but I'm very tentative on having to deal with David Tennant's Doctor, because I thought each season got a new Doctor. That's what I thought. I was wrong. So we're going to continue with David Tennant, and I'm very hesitant. So we'll see what happens as we take our first steps into season 3 in the near future.
I am excited about 3 if it's going to be like 2.
Yes, season 3, like season 2, just with no Rose.
Well, this was fun.
Anything else you'd like to add? Alrighty. Well, it's going to wrap this one up. Let us know in the comments down below, like last time. Many of you responded, and it was very cool. It was very interesting to see some of the responses. We'll have to go through them one day from the last medal ceremony for season 1. But let us know down in the comments below, what are your favorite and least favorite bronze, silver, and gold for each category. And if you want to explain why, explain why. Because some of them from season 1, I was like, okay, interesting. Like, I respect people's opinions. But I was like, why did you pick that? Or why was this one your favorite? Why was, stuff like that. So yes, please do that down below. They are really fun to read. And with that, we're going to wrap this one up. As always, I don't have a fancy outro, so I'll simply say thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Until then, goodbye.
Goodbye.